Hi guys, my name is Nonema Digela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about the question that is lingering on everybody's head because we are all asking one question. Why is Baloyi fighting to debate the admissibility of something he refuses to prove? But before we do that, guys, please make sure you do not forget to like, to share, to comment. And most importantly, please make sure you are watching the videos up until the end and you are watching the ads that are coming through. Don't be shy with the super thanks. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Now, let's get into this. The question remains, why is Advocate Baloyi failing to debate the admissibility of a documented, why is he eager to debate, at the admissibility of a document he refuses to prove? In South African law, a court can only rule on admissibility once three things are established. The document exists, the document is authentic, and the witness confirms authorship or adopts it. We've said this in previous videos for today. Baloyi has not done any of this. He wants the court to admit a statement without proving it, and then use it to cross-examine the defense witness. You cannot ask the court to rule on admissibility of a document that is not yet evidence, not proven, not authenticated, and not formally tendered. He can't do that, but Baloyi is trying his luck there. So the court is now being asked to decide on something that legally does not exist before it, because he also said it was not handed up. That was Baloyi saying that it was not handed up. But now he is expecting Judge Ratta to give him a leeway on that. Anyway, that's what Judge Ratta does. He gives Baloyi too much leeway, and now he's faced with this. The obvious ones. They were always obvious, but this one is too much. This one is too much. This is why Missy keeps hammering the same point. Prove the document first, then you can argue admissibility. And the question remains, why is Baloyi struggling to prove the document? Why is he struggling to do that? Why is he even refusing to do that? Because more than failing and whatsoever, he is, in fact, you fail when you have attempted to do something. He did not even attempt. So in a nutshell, he's refusing to actually do the proving. He's actually refusing. Until then, the Gwabini statement is nothing more than a piece of paper with allegations, and the state wants to use it as if it's accepted or as if it's evidence. That's what they want to do. And I don't know what is Judge Ratta going to do when it comes to this. Is he going to bend rules over for Baloyi or what? I don't know. I'm waiting to see what is going to happen, or perhaps they are going to quote some certain authorities in means to, I don't know, man. We're just going to have to see what happens. And the battle is no longer just about the statement. It's about procedure, fair trial rights, and whether the state gets to bypass the rules of evidence when the stakes are high. That is the bone of contention at this point for Messi. That was my understanding. Are they going to bypass rules, evidence rules? Are they going to do that? Because now they feel trapped in some way, and now they feel good now. That means we can try our luck with bypassing. The core controversy in the Senzo Mewa trial right now is simple, but it's also devastating, guys, because, wow, son, Advocate Judge Baloyi wants to use the Gwabini statement without proving the Gwabini statement. I wonder what will legal experts say about him and that conduct. This is not a small procedural hiccup. It goes to the heart of a fair trial rights, evidence law, and the burden of proof, which is laying down with the state. So if they are struggling with that or refusing to do it, what does that even mean about the entire case? Anyway, let's break down why this is happening and why it's a serious problem for the state. Firstly, the law before admissibility, there must be existence. That's the law. Under South African law, a document must be proven before it can be ruled admissible. To prove a document, the party relying on it must establish, we already said all of these things, authenticity. Is this the real document? Was it produced by the police legitimately? Authorship, did the witness actually make or sign it? Adoption, does the witness confirm the contents, chain of custody or contents of it? Where did this document come from? Context of it. Where did this document come from? When was it created? Only after these fundamentals are established can a court debate admissibility, weight, purpose, reliability, whether it is a statement at all. That is when they can actually look into it and see what it is. But Baloyi is trying to skip all 4 steps, which leads to the next issue. Because wow, what a wow, Mr. Baloyi. Second point, the state's contradiction, rule on it, but don't require me to prove it. That's exactly what is happening. Baloyi wants the court to decide on the admissibility of the document while refusing to tender the document or lay its foundational proof. This puts the court in a legal paradox. How can a judge rule on admissibility when the document is not before the court as evidence? It's like asking the court, please admit this thing, but don't worry, but I won't show it to you. I won't prove where it come from, and the witness won't confirm it. This is procedurally impossible. But we're going to have to see how is Judge Ratta going to maneuver that. The third point, why is Baloyi avoiding proving it? The real reasons. Let's get to the part everyone wants to know. Reason one is that the witness already denied the statement. That's the issue. Gwabini has made it clear he never made it. He did put an S, yes, because he was under pressure, under duress, coercion, beating up, all of that. He was assaulted when the police tried to force him into it. Parts of it are fabricated. He does not adopt any portion of it. This means tendering the document would immediately lead to a trial within a trial, arguments on voluntariness, challenges to police conduct, question of torture, legitimacy of the investigation team, possible exclusion under Section 35 rights violations. Baloyi is avoiding that exclusion. Second reason, proving the statement risk exposing police misconduct. The defense has already hinted that the document may be illegally obtained, written by police, signed under duress, or not signed at all for that matter, created outside proper procedure, not recorded in the OB, not compliant with the Criminal Procedure Act. Proving the statement means calling the officers responsible, and that could backfire. Reason number 3, the document may not survive authentication. If Baloyi tenders the document, the defense can demand handwriting evidence, demand forensic comparison, demand metadata, demand original copies, demand chain of custody witnesses. If any of these collapse, the statement dies and the state loses credibility. Reason number 4, the state wants to use the statement without being held responsible for it. This is the strategic part. Baloyi wants to quote from the statement as if it existed, but avoiding proving it. In case it collapses under scrutiny, this is like wanting the benefit of the statement without the risk of the statement. It's procedurally clever, but illegally improper. Did you get that? It's procedurally clever, but legally improper. Sorry, I said illegal, but legally improper. Reason number 4, Mnisi's reaction, prove it or leave it. Advocate Mnisi has repeatedly insisted you cannot cross-examine my witness on something that it's not before the court. He's right. Cross-examination must be based on admitted, proven, or adopted content. A document floating in the air, not authenticated, not considered, not tendered, cannot be used as a basis for contradiction. Mnisi's challenge exposes the state's weak footing. And number 5, the judge's dilemma. Judge Mokgoatlheng is now stuck between procedural law. He cannot rule on admissibility without proof. State pressure, Baloyi wants a shortcut. Expedited trial, the judge wants speed, not more trials within the trials. But the law is inflexible here. A judge cannot admit a document that has not been proven, has not been tendered, is denied by its alleged author, may be illegally obtained. The judge risks appeal grounds if he bypasses procedures. Number 6, bottom line, Baloyi wants the court to rule on a phantom document. The deep truth is, Baloyi is avoiding proving the statement because proving it could destroy it. He wants admissibility without proof to shield the state from embarrassment. He hopes the judge will allow it in principle to create a precedent favorable to the state. That is what he's banking on. But the law doesn't allow shortcuts. The law doesn't allow that shortcut. Until Baloyi produces the original document, the recording officer, evidence of voluntariness, authentication, proper foundation, the Gwabini statement remains a rumor, not evidence. And lastly, Baloyi is not just failing to prove the statement. He is strategically refusing to prove it because proving it could expose police misconduct, fabrication, coercion, irregular procedure, and a major credibility crisis for the state's case. This is why he is fighting so hard to argue admissibility in the abstract instead of putting the document before the court, because once he proves it, the truth comes out. That is why he is struggling. That is why we are where we are right now. Anyway, guys, please make sure you do not forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe on the channel. Kindly stick around. I'll bring you more tea. I'll bring you all the details about the update, the outcome, or what Judge Rota is going to do regarding the arguments. I'll see you on our next video. Bye-bye.